A really good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever it is that you're watching this. I'm Gareth Burton and I'm the new principal at Chipping Camden School. It's a real privilege to be able to introduce myself in this new role, taking over from John Sanderson at the school who left in the summer. I hope you're finding the weather bearable. It's been really hot this week. The students have dealt with that brilliantly, taking advantage of the slightly relaxed uniform. Normal service will resume with our uniform on Monday, so blazers and ties are expected from Monday, but they've really handled that well, particularly in the afternoons this week. It's been really quite hot at school, as I'm sure you can imagine. So the week so far has been fab. We had a day with just our staff on Monday, which was great. Really good opportunity to prepare for the return of your children. Year 7 and Year 12, as you know, returned on Tuesday. Really good to have a day for particularly Year 7 and our new Year 12s to have the school to themselves and just get the opportunity to find their feet and their way around, have a look at their new timetable and meet their new teachers, and then the remainder of the students joining us on Wednesday. But it's been so good to have the school full up with pupils throughout the latter part of this week, how a school should be. So in terms of communications then, I'm hoping that by now you have received my introductory letter that I sent to you yesterday via email. I'm sorry it's taken a couple of days to do that. It's been pretty frantic, as I'm sure you can imagine, at the start of a new term. But what I want to do is get into the habit of speaking with you via video updates towards the end of each week, probably on a Friday. I'll try and keep it to no longer than around 5 minutes. I think that's probably enough. It might be a little longer today, given that this is my first video update for you. And I thought that way then you can either watch the video update on your own, you could watch it with your children, or you could just listen to the audio as you're driving home from work, whatever suits. But I thought that would be a really good way of me keeping you up to speed in a short and succinct way with some key messages that would be really good for you to reinforce at home with your children in support of us and the partnership that we've got. So I've met quite a few of you already. Obviously we had a Year 10, well not obviously, I'm not quite sure why I said that, but we had a Year 10 parent information evening at the end of the last academic year in early July. So that will be for our current Year 11 students. Great to see so many people attend that and great to meet you all in person. And then earlier this week, we had our Year 10 information evening and our Year 12 information evening. So I feel as though I've been able to put faces to names and give you an opportunity to meet me in person to just under half of our parent body. We do continue that next week with our Year 8 and our Year 9 parent information evenings. So Year 8 is on Tuesday at 6 o'clock in our Performing Arts Centre, and Year 9 is on Thursday. Same place, same time. It'd be great to see as many of you as possible at both of those. And essentially the evenings are an opportunity for you to hear from your child's director of learning about the year ahead. Just talking with you about some of the key moments that you want to make a note of for the year ahead, some of the opportunities available, and giving you an opportunity to immerse yourself in how you can best support your child at home through those critical years. The Year 7 parent information evening, slightly later, so that one is on Tuesday the 10th of October. And the reason that we placed it in that position is because we already had a similar evening, if you like, at the end of the induction days towards the end of June, early July, before the summer holiday. So all of those evenings then will give you an opportunity to come into the school and say hello in person. I really look forward to that. In each of my video updates, what I will try and do is just keep it to 3 key items, and I'll try and ensure that the final item of the 3 is student focused, looking at particular student achievements, work of the week. I'm sure that will vary as the year goes through. So the first thing that I wanted to say today was a little introduction from me and a little bit about the parent information evenings. The second thing that I'd like to share with you in this first video update are some key messages that I've delivered to your children in assemblies throughout the early part of this week. So I've now spoken with all 1,400 of our students in 7 different assemblies. And it was great to have the time and space to be able to do that, to introduce myself in person. We spoke about a lot. The key message that I wanted students to take away, particularly from students in years 7 to 11, was something around excellence and being at your best, and just the difference between doing something that is your very best versus doing something that is good but not quite your best, and what the difference between those two things feels like for the individual. And we took a look at that. We also had a look back at the attitude to learning grades that those groups of students left with at the end of their year last year, and making sure that they are aware of those and they hit the ground running this year. And to support them in doing that, what we have done is we've put in place some really basic expectations from the start of this year. So we've reminded our students about presentation. We went through that in assembly with them, what good presentation looks like, what teachers will be looking for in terms of good presentation in books. But we also looked at the way that students enter and exit classrooms and some basic expectations around mobile technology. And I guess those are the 2 areas that I just want to spend a bit more time going through with you now on the video update. The entry and exit to classrooms comes down to giving our teachers the time and space that they need at the start of the lesson to make sure that we have an accurate register taken, but also the opportunity for them to give thought to inspiring your children rather than having to deal with low-level disruption and lost learning time, which is infrequent, but it does eat into lessons, and it does eat into what a teacher does at the start of a lesson. So every student in the school, whether they're in year 7 or year 13, and of course any year group in between, the expectation is that when they come into a classroom now, they will be met at the door by their teacher. The teacher will say hello, good morning, good afternoon, and be that friendly face at the entry to the classroom. But the expectation is that the student will go into the classroom, they'll stand behind their chair in silence and wait for the teacher to come in. There will be an activity on the board for the teacher to engage in with the students, and then the student will sit down and they'll wait for the teacher's instructions. It's really quite formal in terms of the entry to the classroom, and we've really thought about that over the summer. That's been outlined in detail to your children. The end of a lesson is very similar. So about 30 seconds before the end of the lesson, the students will stand behind their chair in silence, and the teacher will check their uniform and make sure that they're looking smart, make sure that they're taking pride in the way that they look before they are allowed to leave the room. It just makes sure that when they're handed over then to the next teacher, they're done so in a way that makes the next teacher's job that little bit easier, and that the students are taking pride in the way that they look. It was really nice actually this morning. I was doing a little walk around the school, and one of our English teachers stopped me on the corridor and called me into the classroom. I think it was a year 8 class, and they said that their job was so easy today because actually the students had done exactly that. They come into the lesson in silence, ready to learn, really keen and eager to learn and give of their best. And the teacher just wanted to give me the opportunity to recognise that with the students. So that was lovely to be able to do. And if you were a student in that class, so I'm speaking to the parents of about 30 of you now, really, really well done. And then the third expectation is around mobile technology. This is not new, but we have the issue with mobile phones in school whereby iPads are fine because they're on the school Wi-Fi network, and we can use our school filtering systems to keep your children safe online in school. But mobile phones pose a great danger because if mobile phones are used in school, then students can access the 4G network and the like to get access to things that we wouldn't want them having access to, whether that be social media sites, whether that be internet sites that are not particularly supportive of 11 to 18-year-olds. And my job, obviously, as principal of the school is to make sure that your children are safe while they're with us. So mobile phones, headphones, AirPods, all of that sort of stuff, they are banned at the school site. They are not to be seen or heard whilst students are at school. There are a few exceptions to that. Well, there are 3 exceptions to that. After 3:30 is absolutely fine. Sixth form students, they are able to use their phones and their AirPods, earpods in the sixth form block, but not walking around school. We want them to set the tone for the rest of the students. And also, it's absolutely fine for students of any age group to use headphones in a lesson with their iPad if the teacher has given permission to do that. But I think the easiest thing to convey to your children is that mobile phones, headphones, they're not to be seen or heard before 3:30. That's the easiest way to look at that, apart from those couple of exceptions. If that isn't the case, if we do see or hear a mobile phone or see headphones, AirPods during the school day, and that does include before school on the school site, they'll be confiscated. They'll be given back to the student on the first offence. But if it's the second offence or more, then we will retain those and we will give them back to you as their parent or carer. I apologise in advance for the inconvenience, but I hope that that deterrent is enough to ensure that our students are compliant with what we think is a good move forward for us as a school community in keeping your children safe. Just to report back, on Wednesday we had 1 confiscation, on Thursday we had around 5 or 6 confiscations, which I don't think is too bad out of 1,400 as we set out our stall in that area. The feedback that we've had from parents, anecdotally at the Parents Information Evening on, Wednesday and last night with Year 12s has been good. And I hope it also, from a student perspective, gives them the opportunity to just relax a little and not feel pressurised to check their phones. I mean, they shouldn't have been doing it anyway, but obviously it's difficult to look at that 24/7. So yeah, 3 expectations, routines, call them what you will, at the start of this year. 1 around presentation, 1 around the entry and exit to classrooms, and then a 3rd around mobile technology. If you can give any support to that at home, that would be greatly appreciated. So that was the 2nd of 3 updates. The 3rd is a student celebration. It's not quite a work of the week, but it's actually a reflection upon some student achievements from last year, but also over the summer as well. So it was great throughout the course of the assemblies this week to be able to celebrate and recognise some fantastic student achievements in the performing arts and music domain of the school. We had around 25 of our students be successful in something called a LAMDA qualification. So that stands for the London Academy of Music and Dramatical Art, or a music qualification, either in a musical instrument performance or singing. And the qualifications really are quite substantial. So in terms of LAMDA, that's something that students have worked really hard for throughout the course of the year. It contains a theoretical element, also a practical element as well. It also carries university points called UCAS points, but it really does, above and beyond that, just showcase a student's commitment to that particular field, and is world renowned, highly renowned in the sector for performing arts. And then running parallel with that, it was great to be able to award some music qualifications, and they were at the level 1 right up to level 8 qualification across a whole range of different musical instruments. And if you're a musician yourself, you'll know how difficult it is to put in the time, the regular time, practice and commitment to studying for those qualifications. It was lovely to be able to recognise that with our students, and we've celebrated that on our social media platforms. I think that went on yesterday, so if you'd like to have a look on that, you may have seen it already, please do. Lovely to be able to celebrate that with the students, and then also the staff that were responsible for supporting our students in that. So that's a particular shout out to Mr. Cottage for LAMDA, but also to Mrs. Helsketh and Mr. Bridges for music, and all of the peripatetic teachers, of whom there are far too many to mention individually. So that is it for this week. Just looking at my little timer, that's 14 minutes. Thank you for sticking with me if you have. I'll try and make it shorter next week. But really good to just get going this term, and I really look forward to a successful term and year ahead with your children and with you as parents and carers at home. Enjoy the weather for this weekend, whatever you're getting up to. I think it's due to hold for Saturday and Sunday. A little bit changeable, I think, next week, but I think we'll probably welcome that by that point. Bye for now.